Well, welcome, Holly Fortier, to the show. I just need to gush on you here. You're a storyteller, a business owner, a facilitator, a First Nations advocate, a role model, a trainer. You worked in movie production. You're a mom, you're a COCOM. Seriously, what can you not do?
Oh my gosh, how sweet. Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here with you, friend.
I
Such
know.
a great time.
And I'm so glad you're here to speak about peace for our
hmm
Advent Peace Christmas show. I love the tree behind you. I got my tree behind me. So Merry Christmas, Holly. But I guess as
Yes.
I want to start, I really want to learn about peace from you. What do I need to know to ensure peace with you and our First Nations brothers and sisters? Because I know for most Canadians, we need to establish peace between us. How do we start that? How do we start building peace and becoming peacemakers with one another?
Oh, I love that question. I wasn't raised Christian. My mother went to Indian residential school for 13 years, and the church was the oppressor. And, you know, we didn't want anything to do with the church. But it was during Christmas one year that I actually gave my life to the Lord, and my life changed. It totally changed. And, you know, the whole idea of peace, I've studied it, and I'm so excited that you have asked me on this topic because my life wasn't always filled with peace. But we can have peace during chaos and struggle and confusion, and we can have it because of the gift of Christmas.
Hmm. What does that look like? So it's been a chaotic year. It's been a hard year for many people. Peace is
hmm
something that is not discussed. I feel we're more divisive, we're angry, we want to fight. How do we, or Holly, maybe for you, how have you created peace within yourself, peace within your own community, and within your relationships?
Well, it's really interesting because, during the pandemic, we were all at stay at home and we all had the opportunity to witness something that was so disturbing, which was the knee on the neck of George Floyd and the death and everything that came after that and all the uprising. And so what I did is I participated as a listener. I listened to every podcast, every interview, every YouTube, and I decided that it's not enough to say, well, I'm not a racist, because even a racist will say I'm not racist. I wanted to be actively anti-racist. And what's been really taking me through this time of, if you're a Black or brown person, this resonates with you, all the stuff that's been going on. And I've been really leaning into Amos 5, where God says, what do I want? You know what I want? I want oceans of justice and I want rivers of mercy. And I was like, do we have that? No, we don't have that. And that's what God wants. And then he says, that's all I want. And so we have to remember that, there's more to being a Christian than just like living this life for ourselves, that we have to live it for others. And so I'm really thinking, we need to pray for justice. We need to pray for mercy. We need to pray for reconciliation.
Mhm. I love that. I think I absolutely agree. And as somebody in Canada, and you were saying, how do we make peace? Like, I mean, your story about your mom in the residential schools, like you just mentioned, you would think that rather than wanting to be at peace with those that are, not First Nations, it would be more angry and yeah, maybe more angry. But you have come up with, and I just see you, and when I listen to you, that you have found a way to build peace in those really difficult places. Give us some advice, Holly, because a lot of people would say, I have every right to still be angry. I don't want to be peaceful. I want to be combative. I want to be divisive because I have a right to. I'm hurt. What would you say to those people?
What, that's a really good question because I have a lot of family members that are really still hurt and angry from the historical trauma. I have a a lot of, people that I know that are Indigenous that are really carrying a lot of that. And I just think because I have studied the Bible extensively and I have a really strong relationship with God, that I have realized that have really been working on my own personal healing. And nobody's going to hear the message if I come out really accusatory, if I'm really aggressive, because the Bible says a soft word turns anger. So it's like I'm a hot knife and they're butter, right? And so I realize that soft words in that gentle way to speak the truth in love is a much better approach than that. I think that that's really helped me with doing, Indigenous awareness training, those cultural sensitivity workshops, and also filmmaking, where we can just like tell these stories so that people can hear who we are as the first people, but from a kind way. Mm-hmm. I think it goes further. The reach is further when we talk in that gentleness. And honestly, I think our people traditionally, before, colonization and all the historical impact, when I see those really old traditional people, they are very gentle. They're very kind. And that's what I attained. I want to be like that. And biblically, that's what, Christ has asked us to be as well. He is the Prince of Peace.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that as we are in Advent right now, in our second week, as we celebrate Advent and Christmas with the anticipation of Jesus being born, love coming to the world.
Yeah.
The Prince of Peace. What does that mean? What should that mean to us when we hear that? What does that mean to you, Holly? Because I think that's key. He is the Prince of Peace. And for some people, they're like, well, God, I don't really see peace, especially this year. So how can I claim and say that you are the Prince of Peace? What would you say?
Honestly, no matter what's happening around you, no matter what's happening within you, you can still receive that peace. One of my favorite scriptures, and it has always been, is from Philippians 4, where it says, do not be anxious for anything, but with everything, with prayer and supplication, present your that with thanksgiving to God, and the peace of God that passes all understanding will guard your heart and your mind. So it says, do not be anxious everything. So give everything with prayer and thanksgiving, and then you will receive that. Sometimes it's a little bit harder to do that, but I think that, if you just actively work it, then, you will receive it.
I love that. Finally, Holly, what is your encouragement to people that are struggling with peace, who, they're like, that's the last word or thought from my mind right now. I'm just in self-protective mode for my own self, for my own, just protecting, everything that's going on. What would you say and encourage people during this Advent season?
It's been a really tough year. 2020. I remember going into this year thinking, I'm going to get clear vision. And I know so many people have struggled, whether you've had illness or loss because of the pandemic or because of your job loss. Mm-hmm. And also, families have been stuck together. Sometimes that creates a lot of, conflict. And so, our people have been really, our nation has been really under it and really struggling and having a hard time. But despite everything, we know that there is someone who goes before us, that goes behind us, and that was within us. And it's just right there. You don't have to go into a church building. You don't have to be with a group of, other Christians. You can just in your own private moment, just go, I need you. These are the areas that I really, have a concern and a need. No matter what the chaos, the confusion, the struggle, there is an ever present God with you. And the more that you tap into it, the more that you're going to see it and the more that you're going to be encouraged. And I know that there are people out there struggling. And I just pray that you would find that moment just to really surrender your heart and just say, help, I need you, God.
Holly, thank you so much. And what I love is that you're in places that need peace. You know,
Yeah.
look at your resume and your experience, I mean, let alone working, on Revenant and, the assassination of Jesse James is one of my favorites, Brad Pitt, but you're in government and you're training. Like, I am more compelled to just pray for you and pray peace over you so that when you go to those places, you just shine peace, the peace of Christ in those places. I'm getting emotional just talking to you about this, but because
Me too. Thank you.
I think that's so important, Holly, that as you continue in those courageous places that are hostile or maybe wary about God, you
Mhm.
there. And I just think what an opportunity for you to speak peace in a time when so many people need it.
You know, I feel very blessed because do you know that only 3% of Indigenous North Americans are followers of the Jesus way? 3%.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so, our people, we need to pray for our people that they would know the real God, and not the oppressor. Not not, I like how my mom said, there was no God in Indian residential school. It was bad representation.
Mhm.
And my mom always says, she always was scared of God until she got out of residential school. And so we need to pray for Indigenous Canadians that, there would be healing in our nation. And I like how Billy Graham said that Indigenous people are like the sleeping giant, that we need to just pray for the healing of our land and for our First People.
Amazing. Holly, thank you so much for being with us on
Thank
this
you.
Advent Peace Show. May God bless you. Merry Christmas to you and to your family, your wonderful children, and continue to do the good work that God has called you to in peace and
Thank you.
love. So thanks for being with us.
Oh, it's such an honor. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. I love it.
Thanks, Holly.